Is Nicole Rowsell, and I serve as the co-founder and co-president of New Visions. To begin our time together today, I offer an invitation to us all to pause and consider the question, what time is it on the clock of the world? Are we at midnight? Systems collapsing, democracy failing, the weight of crises bearing down? Are we in the deep hours before dawn? That liminal space where old structures are breaking apart, but new ones haven't fully emerged? Or are we at sunset, witnessing the beginning of something we can't fully yet see? I suspect many of you are here today because you feel we're living in a threshold moment. I ask you to consider, what if this moment of breakdown is also a moment of breakthrough? What if the systems falling around us are creating space for something unprecedented to emerge? Imagine the world that wants to be born through this threshold. How does it feel to live in it? To participate in decisions that affect your life? To know your community has what it needs? To disagree with someone and still trust that you both want justice? That vision, that sense of what's possible, isn't wishful thinking. It's the future calling us forward. And responding to that call, as we'll explore today, is both an art and a practice. At New Visions, we exist because we believe that the biggest barrier to transformative change isn't a lack of good ideas. It's our inability to think beyond the immediate crisis in front of us and act with integrity and in community. Our approach is built on the simple but radical premise that lasting democratic change requires us to disrupt the short-term thinking that keeps us trapped in cycles of reaction. We work with leaders in social movements and democratic institutions to develop what we call transformative vision, the ability to see beyond current constraints and build toward futures that center justice, equity, and care. This means doing the deep work of imagination alongside the practical work of organizing. It means creating spaces where activists and institutional leaders can step back from the day-to-day urgency and ask fundamental questions. What would our movements look like if they were designed for the world we want, not just the world we're fighting against? How did we build the democratic practices that don't reproduce the power dynamics we're trying to change? To commemorate this International Democracy Day, we're gathering to reflect with honesty and vulnerability on democracy as a living practice, not as something we inherit, but as something we create again and again in each moment we choose to show up for each other. The extraordinary leaders you'll hear from today have something profound in common. They've all had to confront the gap between democracy they were promised and the democracy they've actually lived. They've all experienced what it means when systems fail the people they claim to serve. And most importantly, they've all found ways to transform the experience of failure into fuel for building something better. Zakia Hatabi has navigated the complexities of environmental justice within political institutions while staying rooted in movement work. Baya Pataria has worked at the intersection of civil society and governance in a context where democracy itself was being redefined. Daniela Chacon Arias has bridged feminist organizing with formal political power. And Samson Itodo, who we hope will be able to join us, has spent years organizing democratic processes while never losing sight of who those processes must truly serve. We're asking these leaders to take part in a powerful practice, to be vulnerable about what hasn't worked. In a political culture that rewards us for projecting certainty, they're going to share their uncertainties. In a moment when we're often asked to choose between hope and realism, they're going to show us what it looks like to be both. Because that's what this moment requires, the ability to adapt and transform even as the ground shifts beneath our feet. So, as we begin this conversation, I invite you to listen not just with your minds, but with your imagination. Listen for the world these speakers are building, not just the world they're critiquing. Listen for the places where their experiences might connect with your own context, your own community, your own sense of what's possible. And you're not just here to observe. You're here because you're part of this transformation. The pathways forward aren't something that we will be handed to us. They're something that we're creating together in real time through conversations like this one. So let's get started.